Hello and welcome to Southeastern 16, presented by FanDuel. Chris Lee here. Will be joined shortly by Jay Greason. We are talking the transfer portal. Yeah, it opened today. Horrible timing, but you know that already. Hundreds, if not thousands, of guys in the portal already. We will be running down names in the portal, SEC and otherwise, guys who are headed elsewhere. We'll speculate. We'll tell you what we know. And we'll add Jay Greason to the broadcast. Good afternoon, my friend. Thanks for joining us. I know you've been doing a lot of hard work on the transfer portal, and I look forward to sharing that with our audience.
Well, I'm happy to be here. I just full disclosure, I had to pee. So, I mean, look, that's who
But
we are.
You take a pee in this business. You miss stuff. You know better.
And hey, portal the P in portal stands for P. I mean,
yeah,
it is.
I think that's what Diego Pavia went into, right?
The portal,
right? The peeing portal, yeah.
Look, it's funny you mentioned Diego Pavia because I think the starting place here is the number of fan bases. Look, you've heard me say a handful of things, and I believe them all. But I got a few maxims that college coaches can peddle success and they can peddle hope. And hope is, in a lot of ways, easier in the mushroom cloud of what Vandy has done after landing a dude at the most important position in all of team sports. So the Diego Pavia lottery ticket is what a lot of us look, man, there's so many big picture, the transformation of college sports as we know it. Forever, the two subscription models that worked on the internet were porn and college football recruiting. And that was pretty much it. You could get people to pay for on signing day and over the next 6 weeks. I mean, you run the Vandy site, man. You know this. People are starving for tidbits to say at cocktail parties, and no pun intended of the porn reference. But the conversation of being on the inside on the knowledge of this, I am looking at the portal the way I used to look at rivals on signing day. I mean, I'm like refreshing this thing. We're just missing a fax machine is all we're really missing.
Yeah. I just attached a link to the 24/7 transfer portal. You can organize it different ways. The default search is latest, so you can see who hops in. That's what I've posted here. You could do it by top or by position. But, yeah, hey, look, you miss a minute in this thing, you miss everything. I think the headliner to me is, well, there's a lot of them, but I think quarterbacks, the number 1, 2, and 3 at 24/7, Sam Leavitt of Arizona State, Brennan Sorsby of Cincinnati, Drew Mestemaker of North Texas, all those in the portal. Mestemaker apparently or possibly headed to Oklahoma State. The other two undecided. You got Cam Coleman at Auburn. We've talked about him at length on this show. So those are some things off the top. What is catching your eye in the portal today, Jay?
Well, we're going to start under the umbrella of the Pavia conversation. Sam Leavitt, Brendan Sorsby, Byron Brown, 3 Auburn quarterbacks who started games this year in the portal: Jackson Arnold, Deuce Knight, and Ashton Daniels. The kid at North Texas who led the nation in passing in the portal. By all presumption, he's going to follow his coach to Oklahoma State, and DJ Lagway. Portal.
Yeah. Dylan Raiola, Deuce Knight. I mean, like, this is what's crazy. You talked about recruiting rankings, and sorry to cut you off here, but like, if you had said, okay, let's rank these quarterbacks a couple of years ago. Again, Leavitt, Sorsby, and Mestemaker are 1, 2, and 3 in 24/7's rankings. Then you get to 11, 12, and 13. It's Lagway, Raiola, and Deuce Knight. Like the recruiting, those guys were all big time 5-star, like top 10 prospects in the country type guys. It is wild to see those guys, is at least per this, is less valuable commodities than like a Mestamaker, who he's the kid that didn't start for his high school team, correct?
Sounds right.
Yeah.
But I mean, for God's sakes, the hottest quarterback in college football right now played at Ferris State
right.
Backup at Ferris State, and Joey Aguilar just threw for 3,000 yards. He was going to be a fireman 2.5 years ago.
Yeah. That's the world we're living in. You know, and it's the way it's gone. There's going to be people whose names we never mention, and you referred to Chambliss, who are going to be there. I'm looking at the portal. Other names that are kind of catching my mind. I'll start mostly with the SEC. We talked about Coleman, DeAndre Moore at Texas. Number 10 in the country. Don't know about that entirely. That seems a little aggressive, but he's a very talented player, made plays for them for 2 years. You mentioned Byron Brown, not leaving the SEC, but going to the SEC at Auburn.
A big one is the Louisville running back is, by all accounts, going to Texas, which,
okay.
I mean, if we're talking about the mass defection from the Auburn quarterback room, and really Auburn's roster in general, after the just toxic nature of all the stories coming out about the way Hugh Freeze led that program over the last year plus, the Texas running back room was crippled with defections in the portal. And to get the 1,000-yard rusher from Louisville is a very good start in what is going to be a very meaningful year for Steve Sarkisian. Because, look, man, we're in the I absolutely love you as my head coach, or I don't know if you're the right one. Every college fan looks at this like you're a fraternity boy and you're about to graduate. Am I going to marry this girl, or am I about to go out and do something different? And that's the choice you've got to make. Are we married to this guy, or is his seat about to get hot?
Yeah, Isaac Brown's the guy you're talking about that likely headed to Texas. Just fantastic numbers. 8.8 yards a carry this year, 7.1 last year. Another one that caught my eye, I had not noticed this. Looked it up. I guess he made his announcement less than 24 hours ago. Lance Hurd, a starting offensive tackle at Tennessee, who, of course, spent some time at LSU. Behind those two studs, couldn't get time, came to Knoxville. I'm not sure what that one's about. Rocco Becht, Iowa State quarterback, who's presumably going to Penn State.
Let's get into everybody's favorite talking point who's been mentioned here. And SC Scout guy says, Boo Carter, we're now getting visits. And one of the mind-boggling things about this is players leaving their school and in the portal are announcing visits to their old school.
Yeah.
Which is just an egomaniac move of, I want to be recruited again.
Yeah, that's kind of gross to me.
But Boo Carter, the mercurial, and that's as euphemistic as I can get, David, the mercurial cornerback from right here in Chattanooga, Tennessee, apparently visiting South Carolina. And look, South Carolina, somebody in the chat earlier put up that a whole bunch of their offensive linemen are now portaling. South Carolina is one of the early winners because
just keeping who it kept,
keeping Lenora Sellers and Dylan Stewart, and if smart modern era coaches remember, we could always talk about you wanted to get the 5-star quarterback as quick as you could, and then have him help you with your recruits on the high school level. Because all right, if I'm gonna go play with this guy, if this guy's gonna be here and he's a 5-star quarterback, then it improves our chances. If you now have two bona fide, high talent, projected, draftable dudes, and Dylan Stewart was a mother this year, and Lenora Sellers underachieved, but you've got both of those guys to build around. They need to be on every recruiting visit. Those guys need to be visible every single time you have a portal kid over the next 2 weeks come into town.
Jay, are maybe the top 3 teams that have taken more hits than anybody in the portal so far? Auburn's on that list.
Yes.
Florida and Texas, or would those be the other two? I mean, because those are – Texas is losing. I was shocked at how many dudes Texas was losing.
But they lost a lot of dudes
last year.
Well,
they lost them to the draft a year ago.
That's where I was going, Chris, is
a
lot of the guys who weren't in the Michigan Bowl game were getting ready for the draft, and that's understandable. But I think Texas did lose a lot, but some of that's got to be reordering your priorities to spend whatever. Even at Texas, you've got a cap on what you can spend, and they've got a lot of defensive replacements that they've got to go find.
Well, they lost a lot of skill players on offense too. Now, the interesting thing is that, look, they played the bowl game without all those running backs and receivers, and Arch Manning lit it up anyway. So,
Holly just put in the chat, is Cutter Boley in the
yeah, that was where I was going to go next. I heard that earlier this morning. That one's a shocker to me. That doesn't make any sense. Yeah, I don't know what the other shoe for that is. So
I don't either, unless Will Steincan said, look, man, I'm going to rattle off these portal dudes and that I've had success with over the last 3 years in Oregon.
Yeah.
And I'm bringing another one with me. So
yeah.
Because, hey, look, and that's a fair point that is underreported. The portal is 2 ways. There are a lot of these guys who are being pushed in the portal. I mean, rightly or wrongly, whether the coach comes in and says, I don't know if you got a scholarship, or says, you're going to have to take a pay cut. Well, fine, I'm not taking a pay cut. I'm portaling. Okay, bye.
Yeah. The chat says he's going to Arizona State. Yeah, I don't explain that one. Of course, Arizona State's losing Leavitt. Now, I do wonder if, like you said, if, Will Stein's got something up his sleeve with somebody, maybe somebody at Oregon who's bringing with them, maybe somebody somewhere else. I mean, that's going to be a very attractive offense to play in.
Well, Dillingham's good at what he does, but the number of defections of big-time talent out there makes me wonder how high their ceiling is in terms of salary.
Yeah, because you've got the obvious issue with hoops.
Well, no, I'm not talking about Kentucky. I'm talking about
sorry.
Arizona State.
Okay. Expand on that a bit.
Well, they've got an NFL level wide receiver, and their quarterback just done, to quote, "Oh brother, where art thou?" done RUNNOFT'd. And he's doing it for the Do-Re-Mi. I mean, he's had great success the last year and a half. I know he battled injuries this year, but when you have that type of success and that type of growth under the coaching staff, the only way you're looking for greener pastures is the key word is green.
Yeah. I'm going to filter by latest here, see if anybody's hit the portal of note since we've been doing this. You guys, nobody that pops off the page. Nyler Daniels at Georgia, offensive tackle, hit the portal. Don't think he was really in their rotation this year. Georgia's always got 5-star dudes everywhere. Daniel Blood from Missouri hit the portal. I think, guys, so we're already losing Marquise Johnson, and who else was it? So that's another one. Blood caught a few passes for them this year. Maybe he was the second one. People have noted Caleb Herring in the portal from Tennessee, edge guy for the Vols. Yeah, Tennessee's lost a few guys too. Not all of them.
Well, I think Tennessee's going to be in play with some of the Penn State defensive guys in the portal. I mean, remember who? Look, the day and time Yeah. I mean, when you bring in coordinators and head coaches, part of their allure has got to be who can you bring with you? Because that conversation was always in place about what kind of staff are you going to build. But now, look, his name just flew out of my head. The Vandy OC.
Tim Beck.
Yeah, Tim Beck's done a great job. But Tim Beck came with Diego Pavia, which makes doing a great job a hell of a lot easier.
Yeah, okay. I back to Daniel Blood for a minute from Missouri. Yeah, I knew there was another guy. Josh Manning's also in the portal, and of course Marquise Johnson. Right. So that's a ton of your passing attack if you're Missouri. And is Norfleet a senior?
That sounds right.
He's been there a minute. So I'm guessing he's either he was a junior. I don't know what his NFL stock would be, but he, passed the eye test when I watched him.
It is to be expected. Now, the Auburn one is eye-popping. And, I mean, I'll just go ahead and give my mea culpa, and you guys can call me whatever you guys call me in the chat about, I went to school at Auburn. It's to be expected when you make a coaching change that you're going to lose players. That's just part of the deal. But the toxicity of what apparently was happening in Lee County, Alabama, screams more to Hugh Freeze than what it does about anything else involved in that program, in my opinion. Because Auburn is getting just
hammered.
I mean, it's mass defections. It's like 30.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious about that one because I'm not a big keep your locker room cancers around guy. I'm hey, you can find a lot of guys who can play that don't do that. But man, at some point you've got to have some players. I think the Alex Golish situation at Auburn is going to be fascinating to follow how they build this back. And like just because you hit the portal too doesn't mean you're gone. Some of these guys do come back, but that one I think is your most interesting situation.
I know from a friend of mine who's dialed in on these things that Deuce Knight had a 7-figure offer to come sit behind Brown in 2026 and then be the guy in 2027 with a $1 million offer to be Auburn's backup quarterback.
Say that one more time.
Deuce Knight had a 7-figure offer to come back to Auburn with all understandings that Brown was coming from USF.
Okay, interesting.
And
were they going to split reps and maybe give him some?
No, okay. Brown will be the dude.
So that was you're our guy 2 years from now. Yeah,
I think he's got. Yes, they were going to ask him to sit, learn Golish's system, be the guy in 2027, and maybe a year after that. But kid wanted to go play, and I get that. I mean, I completely get that.
Okay, the other shoe on Kentucky, and somebody dropped this on the chat with a question mark. I'm Googling it. I don't know if these are all reports parroting each other, but tons of reports within the last hour. And I guess On3 had the original report 3 hours ago saying Kentucky's pursuing Sam Leavitt. So, lots of noise on that one.
I think a monster story that some folks are hinting at in the chat. We know how many coaches are following Lane Kiffin to Red Stick. And yes, Trinidad Chambliss has to get a waiver, but how many of those offensive dudes, whenever this magical Ole Miss scenario runs its course, and if you're wondering, the portal window opened today, Friday, January 2nd. It runs to January 16th. If you're in the championship game, you get an extension. So as a player, that window is open for players on the two teams playing January 19th to decide it all.
Yeah. There's a lot of thought that Lacey is going to go to Ole Miss. not reporting, just telling you what's been out there in the chatter. And Kiffin apparently is pushing hard for their kicker too, I've heard.
And I couldn't think of his name, but Sam, of course, brought it up because he's dialed into all things in the 865. Jim Knowles, the Coleman kid who, I mean, it's right there on the Rushmore of Coleman. It's Cam Coleman. It's, what's his name? Caleb Coleman, Gary Coleman, and Vince Coleman. Coleman fire starters, Coleman camping gear. I think there are a lot of defections coming out of not so Happy Valley these days. Some of them go ahead with James Franklin to Blacksburg. Some of them go ahead to Knoxville with Jim Knowles.
I know we're going all over the place here, which is just going to be the nature of this with guys hopping in every second. Florida's another team we didn't discuss. We did talk about DJ Lagway. Jaden Woods, their edge guy, is in the portal. Eugene Wilson's in the portal. I can't remember if I mentioned that one earlier or not. I guess that announcement was about a week ago. Stud wide receiver for Florida. So that's another rebuild that I've got an eye on, is how that goes in Gainesville.
And I know he hasn't entered yet, but look, there are a multitude of dudes going up as coaches from Group of Five to Power Five and taking their quarterbacks with them. Will Summerall be looking to take the Tulane quarterback?
The BYU kid.
Yeah.
Whose name escapes me suddenly.
It's like Rustlenberg or Wrestling Saucer.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, I said wrestling.
You'll get there.
Wrestling
you'll get there eventually.
Well, you want to get his last name on triple word score on Scrabble, because anytime you can work a Z in there, by God.
Retzlaff. Jake Retzlaff. Yeah.
Or Wrestling Saucer. I mean, come on.
Close enough.
Wrestling Saucer sounds like a guy who would have played offensive line at Nebraska for Tom Osborne.
No doubt.
Next to Dean Steinkühler and some guy named like John Rowe. I mean, but
hey, I've got a fun fact that the pastor that married my wife and I was part of that offensive line. He might be the only guy that you can't name.
No, there's several of them. I guarantee you the pastor was white, though, because they had nothing.
He was not. He was not.
What?
Yeah.
Okay. Major upset.
Right.
I am intrigued to see what Summerall does with Florida, and because with new coach comes new hope, and has got to come. The modern day conversation has got to be, how much money are you going to give to the NIL and put in as we try to rebuild this roster?
Yeah. All right. Sam's got something here. I'm going to ask him, if Ty doesn't go to the draft, he'll enter the portal. Which Ty are we talking about?
Simpson.
Talking about Simpson or give us your super chats, all those kind of things. That helps the channel. We got membership plans here. You can get in on those. We got special episodes for our members. So that's a way that you can help us. Wanted to let the folks know about that.
And to Sam's point, I think that's a very astute projection, because, look, Simpson's got lit up right before halftime. They go to the locker room. They come back out and warm up. And then he plays the first series and is ineffective. And then they say they're benching him for the rest of the game.
Yeah.
Those dominoes don't trickle down the way they most normally do.
Yeah, that was a weird. He did not look very happy yesterday afternoon.
And he's from Martin, Tennessee.
I think Sam's trying to hint at something to us here. Yeah. Hey, you know, here's the thing. Ty Simpson had some mobility to him that I just don't think we saw much this year. You go to that offense, and you'll get your shot to run it a little bit, I think.
Including the guys still playing, and they put together tremendous years. Ty Simpson's 6 weeks run when he was fully healthy, He doesn't have to apologize to a soul.
Has he entered the portal? I don't think he has. So we're speculating.
Great question from SC Scout guy there. And I would not use the word humbled. His question is, has NIL and the transfer portal humbled the SEC? It's leveled the playing field.
No doubt.
And as I've said multiple times before, Saban's greatest superpower was convincing kids to come to Alabama, 5-star kids to come to Alabama and wait their turn, because if you became a starter for Saban in Alabama, you were going to get $1 million and play in the NFL. Now those kids want $1 million today. They don't want to wait 3 years. So if they don't get the $1 million and a chance to play, they're going to go find somewhere else to play and still get $1 million.
Okay, we've been going about 26 minutes. Going to jump in another minute, see who else has hit the portal since we've been doing this. Reminder, you should help out the people who help our channel. That includes new sponsor and Collar. Man, I've got a stash of shirts and pants coming from And Collar that I've ordered, and I'm super excited about them. Check out their stuff. You will be too. More details coming soon, but use SE16 for 16% off your order at andcollar.com. Also, Yearly Company, get ahead of the Valentine's Day rush. They are a Nashville-based fine jewelry brand built on tradition, designed for meaning, each piece handcrafted from solid 14-karat gold and natural gemstones, made to measure for a perfect fit, backed by a lifetime guarantee. Every Yearly Company bangle is custom size, so knowing your size is the most important first step before you order. That's where the sizing kit comes in. Code SE16KIT, KIT, gets 100% off your sizing kit at checkout. Also brought to you by ROKFORM, ROKFORM.com, the world's strongest magnetic phone case, extreme protection, super strong magnets, and Rock Lock secure mounting. SEC25, get you 25% off your entire order. Take it from me, get the phone case and the vent clip. You'll be super glad you did that. That is my setup in my car. Keeps my phone in front of me, not sliding around. And yeah, you'll wish you had that too. Okay, let's see if anybody's hit the portal.
Yeah, you need to go to the top of the sheet, brother.
Okay, latest.
Who's the Alabama wide receiver?
Jaden Mbakwe. Yeah, he's been in there for a couple of minutes. He's projected. The crystal ball is to Ole Miss. Not a bad place to go if you're a wide receiver.
Look, we're going to salivate over the names and the potential, but we need to think back of the guys who have arguably made the greatest impact and direction-changing moments. It starts with Diego Pavia. Dante Moore lost his job at UCLA. Fernando Mendoza came from Cal. By all intents and purposes, Carson Beck, Georgia was ready for him to leave. And those are your 4 starting quarterbacks, along with Trinidad Chambliss. There are going to be guys that don't have the 0.96 rating on 247 that are coming from group of 5 and lower places that nobody really expects, that are complete and total game changers. I mean, we talked about the keeping pass rushers like Dylan Stewart, but I mean, think about where Cassius Howell came from and Texas Tech's David Bailey came from. I mean, you're talking about programs like Bowling Green that guys come and fit. And even at the next level, man, the narrative of NFL draft busts is now being exposed by NFL coaching failures. because how many retreads are now doing things like Sam Darnold, or taking 2 or 3 stops and then finding a system that fits, and then finding the reason they were drafted as high as they originally were.
Yeah, Baker Mayfield, another one.
There you go.
A little bit of a bombshell from Jay Breezy 2002. Justin Rowland, who's pretty good at this, projecting Kentucky to land C.J. Baxter. C.J. Baxter and Sam Levitt would be one heck of a way to start your offensive rebuild.
Sven's got a very complete and fair point. Brendan Sorsby from Cincinnati was a dude all year long. And the report I saw is he's already named 2 places he will visit. One is current NIL Fat with Cash, Texas Tech, which has to make quarterback a priority after the complete and total goose egg, both literally and figuratively, dropped in the college football playoff. The other is a little place called Baton Rouge, Louisiana, that Brendan Sorsby is going to visit. And if you are a quarterback, it's worth kicking the tires on anything Lane Kiffin is pitching.
Sam says he's going to Tech. His girlfriend's going there. Interesting.
Texas Tech's paying everybody across. Yes, the high school college girlfriend is undefeated.
You had some national storylines. We've been more SEC centric lately. You wrote some stuff in the paper this morning, Chattanooga Times Free Press. You talked about a couple of guys, Rocco Beck going to Penn State. What else stands out to you on the national scene?
Well, I think the conversation we just had about who's going to be the guy nobody's talking about, that maybe not a whole lot of people wanted, who becomes a Chambliss or a Pavia or a guy that's not on the top 50 24/7 chart. And look, some of those dudes are going to be linemen, right? Because if we're talking about the impact portal quarterbacks have had with the 4 teams that are still practicing to play meaningful football games, the narrative you and I have discussed in every one of these recap shows we've done is the more physical football team has won every game in these playoffs. And you do that by, look, Vanderbilt went 10-3 with they completely addressed a glaring need and went and got 5 grad transfer offensive linemen, and it allowed for the best season since Dan McGuinn was coaching on the West End. So I think a big storyline, some of them are local. I think there are a lot of tumultuous scenarios, whether it's Penn State and Auburn and Florida, and the sheer numbers of players that are going to have to be acquired is a big one. I think the group of 5 graduates and how they play out at the next level, and that's a great one, Scout Guy.
Yeah,
I mean, Kennard was an absolute.
He was good at Georgia Tech, but like he wasn't a guy that when he transferred to Carolina, everybody was, blowing up social media over, that I remember.
And I guess nationally beyond that, just because he is going to be the lightning rod story, is whether it's out of purpose, pleasure, or pissed off venom, how many guys out of Oxford does Lane Kiffin go scoop?
Well, you actually went the place I was going to go next. The Chambliss waiver, we get the answer on that when.
whenever the NCAA deems us worthy.
And I can't remember what is his case, because he's already been in what, 5 years?
Well,
Or is this was 4? Is this the 5 for 5 case?
Potentially. And
which is I think that was the Langston Patterson suit that's being decided in Nashville, I believe. Or is this a different case? I don't know. I can't keep up.
Well, there's so many of them now. I mean, in truth, we've referenced it a few times. The Baylor basketball player being eligible, Chad Baker-Mazara being able to play basketball at USC. I think he is. This past year, I was eligible to join the AARP. I think Chad Baker-Mazara can join next year. I'll welcome him into the brotherhood. You've got the various Diego has filed suit for another year.
Yeah, but Diego's not coming back. That was I'm going to do this for some other guys.
Well, great. Then
that's 100%.
So who knows? But all right, well, let's just play a hypothetical here, because that's what the first day of the portal is for just about everybody. If Trinidad Chambliss gets a waiver, where does he go in the portal board?
Oh, he's, top 5 minimum.
He may be one.
Might be one. I mean, depends on, what you think of Sam Levitt, I guess. But
well, Sorsby is one on a lot of boards too.
Yeah. Okay, Chambliss. I'm trying to figure this out, because Chambliss only played 2 years. Only played 2 years at Ferris State. No, I'm sorry. He played 3 years. 22, he played 2 games, but he did not accumulate any stats. 23, he played 8 games through 33 passes. So really, he's only played. This is the 4th season he's played. Well, no, the 5th season he's played, but one of them was just 2 games. So, I'm guessing this is attached to the Pavia thing, which was 2 years at JUCO don't count sort of thing. So I don't know. Like you said, I can't keep up. And same one was that Ziegler filed 5 for 5 and didn't get it.
All right, Trey brings up a wonderful point here too, because it goes to the point of the unheralded guys coming and everybody getting geeked up. But think of the flops that were Jackson Arnold, and who was a former 5-star dude. And look, I know a lot of it had to do with injury, but John Mateer underwhelmed. And he was a whole lot of people's belle of the ball. Oklahoma got as far as they did because of a defense that was relentless. I mean, and I'm trying to think back who else was these. Who were the incoming Nico didn't do a whole lot at UCLA. No. And he was a former 5-star dude.
How many Power 4 schools didn't have a transfer as a starter a year ago? Gosh, was Nico the #1 spring player? I'd forgotten he was that. Me. That's kind of hard to believe in hindsight.
He was the #1 quarterback coming out of high school.
Yeah, but I don't think he was he? Not by everyone. I mean, we pointed out like that there was going to have to be a lot of development with that kid, and that's rung true.
Well, you look at the teams last year; the biggest flops were non-transfer quarterbacks. Clemson flopped, and they thought they had their guy. LSU flopped. And they thought
Florida did.
Penn State flopped. They thought they had their guy.
Right. So tell me, so I guess Austin Simmons, is he just staying put for now? Because
Well,
that's an
I would
interesting.
have to
I would have thought Austin Simmons would have been one of the first guys in the portal.
Well, kudos to that kid for not portaling while your team's still playing for a natty.
Right. Well, I mean, he's one snap away from, being the guy again.
Yeah. And if you're Austin Simmons and Chambliss does decide to portal, then don't you stick around and then see who the next OC, how you blend with that guy?
Sure. Yeah, Tracy Carson Beck turned out pretty well. I mean, yeah, he had a nice year. He wasn't – I think that defense drove their success more than he did, but he wasn't bad.
Speaking
Completed
of
a ton of passes.
Theory of girlfriends being undefeated.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I think – I guess Georgia being willing to let him go is always stuck in the back of my mind.
Yeah, but I think that had as much to do with their appreciation and hopes for Gunnar Stockton as it did for. And look, man, even places like Georgia, you can't afford to pay both of them multi-millions because you've got to spread that out.
Carson Beck got $5 million from Tennessee. Goodness.
No, I think that's Nico.
Oh, Nico. Okay, yeah. Yeah, here's Darren Mensah from Tulane.
Yes.
But that backup Beelan is in the portal.
It's just – and I don't know if we gave enough credence because he hopped in here while I was using the little sports writers room. I love the idea of pitching and again, all these conversations have to be negotiated on, which is a huge stumbling block in finding any type of structure in this model moving forward as we pay college football players. But love the idea of restricted free agency after a year and then open free agency after 2. Working that somewhere in the scholarship model.
Yeah. Maybe give the school a chance to match or something like that. By the way, I hadn't caught that. Josh Hoover at TCU is being projected to Indiana. He left the portal before the bowl game. Trey Weiser, that's one we didn't mention earlier, back to the SEC. We talked about all the guys Texas had in the portal, didn't mention him.
Cignetti's not going to have a Mendoza playing quarterback next year?
Maybe not. We didn't talk about Xavier Chaplin in the portal, didn't we? I guess Auburn had so many, you can't get there on all of them.
In a multitude of starters. At least probably in terms of talent, your top 4 wide receivers won't be back with Coleman, Simmons, Thompson, and Thompson underwhelmed. But Coleman and Simmons, and then Singleton is declared for the draft. And David, I'm sorry, that was your idea for the restricted. I may not have properly sourced that. That's my fault. Chaplin was the best of a mediocre collection of offensive linemen. Malik Blockton, a multitude of corners. When you change out your but I think Auburn is going to do very well in the portal, and I think they're going to spin through the nose to do it.
Marquise Johnson at Missouri. 24/7's got him ranked in the number 50 player in the portal. That seems a little high to me. But Missouri losing, as we mentioned earlier, a good bit of its receiving room and also its quarterback, although the guy that was going to start it gets back anyway. Kobe McKenzie from Oklahoma's in the portal. How many guys does OU to lose to the draft on that side of the ball? That's going to be an interesting defensive rebuild. I mean, they had a lot of depth there, so that may cover their losses a bit. Aiden Mizell at Florida, another receiver in the portal.
I'll tell you another national storyline. Are you ready to get down and roll in the mud, Dabo Sweeney? Otherwise, your seat's about to get hot as bleep.
The QB from East Carolina's in the portal too. They had a really nice, underrated year. Beat a who was it? They beat a Power 5 team in the bowl.
Feels like the Pirates have been doing that since Jeff Blake was taking snaps.
Right. 3,300 yards, 19 touchdowns, 6 picks. You're talking about all these guys that have been under the radar guys. He'll be a 5th-year guy, started at Michigan State, not much of a runner, but that's an interesting one. Arkansas's got a few guys in there. There's an offensive lineman. Have to go back to the top on that. No, it was a defensive tackle. It was the Jaffrard kid. Arkansas last year lost all those guys in the portal. And the preseason talking point was that's going to be an issue for them. And boy, did that turn out to be correct.
Without question.
Yeah, let's see. I'm going to refresh and hit recent to see if anybody is here of interest. Indiana had a couple of edge guys hit the portal. We're going to presume those are guys that aren't playing. Don't know the names there. Especially if you're doing this in the playoff. Also a corner, a Miriam Knighton. Yeah, not much new in the portal in the last few minutes.
Well, the visits will be paramount. The conversations will be overblown, and I think there's a fair amount of Occam's razor in this, where the most rational explanation is the right explanation.
Bo, our good buddy on the Aggie side of things, says Cam Coleman to A&M, despite
Could
Texas
be.
trying to rewrite.
No,
A&M did a fantastic job with portal receivers. I don't know anybody in the country did better.
Go a step further. Hugh Freeze and the bag of cash flipped Cam Coleman at the 11th hour. You want to guess where he was committed to?
Was he going to A&M?
He was going to A&M.
Okay. Who was the one that Auburn that was committed to Alabama? I thought Coleman was committed to Alabama for a spell too. Who was that?
That may have been Malcolm Simmons. But
Or was it Ryan Williams on the other side? That might have been what it was.
Could have been.
Okay.
Hey, if Deuce goes to FSU and Gus is still there, Deuce could find his way being invited to New York.
Worked out okay for Thomas Castellanos.
And Deuce has a little more talent than Thomas Castellanos.
Yeah, yes, he does. I mean, that game against Mercer, I know it's Mercer, so what's it mean? But like the stat line was pretty outrageous.
I mean, it wouldn't shock me at all if Cam Coleman ends up in Norman, College Station, Athens. I mean, he's going to be as coveted as any non-quarterback in the portal. There's no doubt about it.
Who was the kid from Stanford that ended the season as their quarterback?
Who, Auburn?
Yeah.
Ashton Daniels.
Daniels is staying put for now, I take it?
No.
He's in the portal.
He's in the portal.
Okay. TJ Finley's in the portal, right?
Again,
Is it 7 for 7 or 8 for 8 now with him?
TJ Finley's in the portal like Elizabeth Taylor's in the wedding chapel. It's just a guarantee.
Accurate.
TJ Finley, infamously the man that Auburn fans wanted to start over Bo Nix and pushed his ass to Oregon.
Yeah, I'm running out of talking points here. We've covered a lot.
The Book of Lebs, I think it's all conjecture about where Deuce Knight will end up, but I think he's got an ultimately bright future. And Sam, I do believe that the USF, the brown kid from USF, will follow Golish.
Yeah, Deuce Knight will be interesting. Where do you think he's the best fit?
Well, honestly, considering the new head coach at Auburn just had only the 12th player ever to throw for 3,000 and run for 1,000, I mean, go find somebody who can help you throw vertically because you're athletic enough to make plays right now and win college football games. But there is work to be done figuring out what – heck, who's Diego's backup?
Well, that's irrelevant. It's Berlowitz. Well, I mean, I say it's irrelevant. It might not be relevant to him, but I mean, of course, we know how Vandy's resetting the QB position with Jared Curtis. But yeah, Blaze Berlowitz is their backup. He was with the New Mexico State contingent out there.
Well, Bo, Deuce has entered the portal, and the brown kid's coming, and Deuce has made it clear he's going to want to go somewhere where he's going to be the guy.
Yeah. Yeah. Deuce Knight to Boston College. That's wild.
That'd be a mistake.
Well, of course, they developed Castellanos, but yeah, I mean,
they were a terrible football team.
Yeah, they were right up there with Oklahoma State as maybe the two worst Power 5 teams a year ago. TCU running back visiting South Carolina tomorrow. Our good buddy SC Scout guy says. Yeah, speaking of portal guys, like we spent all the time. I can't even think of his name now. The Utah State kid, Faison.
Yes,
that was one that never. There were a couple of like. Think about this for a minute, okay? Were your top two? I may be forgetting somebody, so forgive me if I am. But I'm thinking back to like your highly coveted running back transfers in the SEC last year. One was Faison, who got cleared just before the year, and then the other one was the kid that did it from Cal.
Oh, Jay Knott.
Who like I think he got a couple of carries in September, and like he absolutely disappeared. And Ott's numbers had gone down his second year at Cal. I think that might have been injury related, but that one was weird. Like all the offensive help Oklahoma needed. Okay, tell me. I know who am I forgetting?
Well, there were a lot of us who were high on Ahmad Hardy too, and he panned out.
Yeah, well, I guess I was thinking more in terms of guys who busted. Kejuan Lacey was Missouri's third RB and was terrific.
I think Sam's right there too. Chaz Coleman, the kid's name from Penn State, who I may have called him Charles. I don't even know. Cam or who knows. He is going to get quarterback money. And
go ahead.
CBS Sports put projected allotments and NIL expectations on positions. Edge rushers are second behind quarterbacks.
Tennessee had their third running back hit the portal, right?
What'd you say, Chris? I'm sorry, I had a cough.
Tennessee's third running back is in the portal, right?
Yes.
Which wouldn't be as big a deal other places, but and that's Ricky Gibson in the portal. That was another one. What do we make of the Lance Hurd one? We talked about that originally.
I think we referenced the situation that almost instinctively we think these kids are either asking for more money or looking for more playing time. I think Tennessee is recruited over Lance Hurd skis. And, I think David Sharp's an NFL dude, and I think they're high on a couple other tackles on the depth chart, and they've got glaring defensive talent needs that are going to cost money.
Yeah, thank you, David. Peyton Lewis was the name I was trying to remember. RB3 at Tennessee gets used about as much as RB3 anywhere. That's been that way since Heupel's been there. But
it feels like there is just starting on what's coming out of Austin, there are a whole lot of eye-catching names hitting the portal that carry the football.
Yeah, I want to. We kind of started there. What is going on in Austin? Is that just going to be guys throwing in there to see what kind of bag they can get, maybe coming back, or those guys that are just they're done no matter what?
David remembered the other guy's name. Jesse Perry's the other guy's name, the tackle.
Yeah.
And
Sanders was the guy that was like the,
number one offensive lineman and really didn't disappoint.
Freshman. Right.
Once he got healthy to start the year, he was an every down right tackle.
Yeah, and if you can come in your first year and not embarrass yourself at tackle in the SEC, you're going to be a dude in the league. Almost 100% of the time, I would think, other than injury. So, Lewis to Charlottesville, Kevin Smith says maybe.
Well, it's going to be a crazy 2 weeks. Crazy.
Yeah. Let's see if anything else has hit while we've been doing this. We'll take your questions, your super chats. We're going to get out of here shortly. Otherwise,
the hell you say, how you doing, 70? Do you think anybody was contacted before the portal officially opened?
No.
No way that happens.
No. The Portal King's a Portal King for a reason, right? Couple of Michigan guys hit the portal. Jasper Parker, their running back, I guess he was their third teamer at best because they had two dudes in front of him, including Justice Haynes. Notre Dame quarterback Corey Thomas in the portal. Know nothing about him.
I'll give you a national name and I need to look it up. The Minnesota safety, who was a top 100 recruit, I believe his last name is Parrish, Coy Parrish. He was dynamic on both sides of the ball, and he is a legit difference maker.
Yeah.
He was a second-team All-American and a first-team All-Big Ten player.
Yeah. Parting thoughts, Jay Greason?
I hate where we are.
Yeah, it's weird. I've said it many times. I feel like the game now is more interesting than it's ever been in terms of the parity, in terms of teams having a chance it never did before, in terms of the juggernauts getting pulled back to the pack. But man, I could not hate anymore how it has come together. Sam, why would Levitt be going to Ohio State?
Why wouldn't you?
Well, Julian's saying. What are they going to do? Bench Sayin for Sam Levitt?
Who knows?
Who
knows? it wouldn't be unheard of. And we're getting a couple of questions from my fellow masochists who are Auburn fans. I don't even know if Auburn has another quarterback on the roster.
Yeah, that's. Oh, okay. So thank you. The Minnesota kid. Yeah, that would make sense. Downs is in the draft this year, right?
All right. Visor tip. How you doing, 70? Time for me to get back up on my soapbox. We got to fix this calendar, man. We've got to.
Yeah.
Free agency should start on Groundhog's Day.
Well, I guess the issue is that you lose out on spring practice, but.
Well, and that's a fair point that I don't give enough credence to, because classes start in a week. And for these guys to be enrolled in school, they got to be enrolled in school. I'm not saying they got to attend class, but they got to be enrolled.
How does that work? Gosh. Okay, the championship game is the 19th. You'll have some schools that'll be 2 weeks into school at that point.
Yes.
Entering week 3. I mean, if academics even matter anymore. I know you got late drop ad dates and stuff like that, but just going to throw that out there. Yeah. School, what's that, says Sam. Jay, parting thoughts. Let's get out of here.
Everybody have a safe weekend. I hope everybody's 2026 is their best year yet.
Yeah. Likewise.
Even Cam Coleman.
Even Cam Coleman. Going to hit the latest. Okay, Arkansas is okay. Now, wait a minute. We got a couple of interesting things here that just popped. Danny Salee, I guess is how you pronounce it, defensive lineman at Arkansas. I believe he's part of their rotation. He's in the portal, and here's one. This is kind of a name, Marvin Burks Jr., Missouri safety. So Burks was a pretty good player for them.
Yeah, he was.
All right. Thank you guys for watching. We'll be back with more stuff later this week. We got previews on the semifinal games coming up shortly, if they're not out already. Basketball coverage coming. We are going to get knee-deep in baseball before long. Anyway, thank you guys for being here. Hope you guys will consider the membership plans. That helps the channel, get you some extra content. God bless you. Have a great rest of your week. For Jay Greason, I'm Chris Lee. You have been watching Southeastern 16, presented by FanDuel.